Hey goodies, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. Just ignore my voice a little bit, I'm getting over a cold, but we're gonna jump right into the video. So quick disclaimer, I am not really good at braiding, so be gentle, but just know that if you braid better than me, the braids will probably look neater and the parts will probably look neater. But what you're gonna start with is you're gonna start with sectioning off the first row for your braids. For the first row, you're going to make sure that your sections are even for each braid. But even before you start figuring out how thick you want the braids to be, I strongly recommend taking into consideration the density of your hair or your locks, because since we are not adding in hair, the hair constricts, and that's completely normal. It's the same thing that happens when you braid loose natural hair. That's why people opt to add more hair into their hair so that the braids are fuller. So for my mom, for example, I did her hair right after I retightened it, and I knew that that would make her hair overall look thinner than it actually is. So I tried to make sure the braids weren't too thin, but also not too big. And I ended up with 4 braids in the back. Since Bohemian braids look something like this, as you may notice, the ends are not fully braided, so you're going to have some leave out, and what I did was I left about 1/4 of hair. You can leave out more or less, but that leave out will be curled later. Once you're done with the first row, it should look something like this, and you're going to braid the second row in the same way, leaving out about 1/4 of your ends, and then you can fasten those off with a elastic band. After sectioning off the second row, you are going to section off the first section of the second row. And what you see me doing here is the part should align to the middle of the braid underneath it. It should mimic a brick wall pattern, kind of like this. It's important to do the brick wall sectioning method because we are not adding in hair, which would add thickness to your braids. And since we're not adding hair, your hair is going to be condensed and the braids are going to look thinner, even though your hair might be thicker. And by having this staggered look, you are less likely to see the roots or the parts of the braids. And that's what people do when they actually do individual braids. Starting on your row 3, you go ahead and braid regularly as you have been doing, but then what Bohemian braids have is leave out within the braid, and if you follow along, I will show you how I go about doing that. And you can leave out as much hair within a braid as you'd like. I just did 1 to 3 sections of leave out, and you'll better see what I'm talking about if you continue watching. When you're ready to start adding leave out to your braids, I strongly recommend braiding at least 1/4 down, and then what you see me doing is taking out 1 to 3 strands of your locks from an outer strand of the braid, and then continue braiding the hair down as normal, like so. This is what it looks like when it's completed. You still leave out about 1/4 of hair at the ends and fasten it off with an elastic, and then you can see how the leave out within the braid looks. And after you're finished braiding, you're going to go ahead and curl all of this leave out. Once more, a little slower, you can see me taking out the leave out from an outer strand of 3-strand braid and then continuing to braid down as normal. You can leave out more than once within a braid, but I wouldn't recommend doing it more than 3 times because it's going to affect the overall thickness of your braid. But you can do it on the right side or the left side, as high up as you want, as low as you want. It's really a preference, but the more random it looks, the cuter it's going to look when you go ahead and curl all of this leave out at the end. This is what the braids look like when you have the end leave out and the leave out within each braid. And you can see that it's varying at different levels. Now to curl the leave out, you're going to go ahead and dampen the leave out. You don't want it to be dripping. And then you're going to take perm rods. I recommend smaller sizes to make sure they're as tight as possible, and they naturally fall anyway. And then you're going to wrap the leave out individually around perm rods. So I would say wrap the end leave out by itself and then wrap the leave out within each braid separately as well. And you'll see me doing that throughout the rest of the video. If you need more water to dampen some sections you might have missed in the beginning, go ahead and keep your spray bottle at hand. mom is an absolute gem and helped me curl the leave out while I was braiding the rest of her hair. So for the rest of your hair, you're going to follow the same steps that I gave you in the back of your head. So brick wall method for sectioning. Make sure your braids are around the same density as the rest of the braids in your hair, and leave out as much hair or as little hair as you want, whatever you think would look good on your hair. Once you're done curling all of the leave out, I recommend spot blow drying the ends and the other areas of leave out just to make the drying process go faster, and then let it air dry until it's completely set and dry so that your curls won't fall. As you can see, we were still blow drying as we were taking out the curls because it wasn't fully dry, and that's why I can't stress this enough to make sure you have enough time to allow your hair to dry fully. But this is what the results looked like, even though we didn't have as much time as we would have liked to allow the curls to set. For this being my first time ever doing a hairstyle that loose naturals normally do while adding hair, I really do think that the results came out pretty nicely. I would just recommend, if you want your roots to look fuller, just go ahead and do this same hairstyle, but when you have a little bit of new growth.
Okay guys, thanks for watching. My mom has to go catch a flight right now, but this is what we kind of thought would be our rendition on goddess braids. And you should leave the curlers in longer. It's just we had to rush, but it would be more curly, but it's really nice. And I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. As always, have a fantastic day wherever you are in the rest of the world. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Bye, goodies.
Bye.